Hello, good morning, and welcome to GoCast. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me here. It's nice to be here, and I'm glad this is happening
Well,
today.
it's a great pleasure and it's an honor to host you. Would you mind by starting to tell us, who you are, where you come from, what you like, what you do in life, and so forth, so on?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Aastha Sahni. Currently, I'm living in United States. I work as a security analyst at Microsoft, and I also run a nonprofit, which is PPWIC Foundation, which is kind of registered as a nonprofit in Canada. That's what I do. I hold like 8 years experience in cybersecurity. I came from different backgrounds within cyber, make different pivots from like an engineer role to a trainer role, and then back to a security analyst at Microsoft Azure. And on the other side, I'm really passionate about community. I love helping out people. I love helping out folks like finding their next jobs, helping them upskill in cybersecurity. One of the major goals of the foundation, the nonprofit that I run, is to help people not only get their first jobs in cyber, but somewhere in the middle of the career if they want to make some internal pivots, sometimes which are harder to understand how to make those pivots within cybersecurity. Now we have AI also in picture. So how to get those skills in place, get your existing role polished, make yourself upskill and move ahead in your career with more confidence. That's what we aim to do. And I'm originally from India. I moved to this part of the world around 7 years ago. It's been some time now. And yeah, I have seen both the sides of the world and both the experiences that I'm carrying forward in my personal and professional life both.
Well, that's super nice. And super generous of yourself to be able to help the others to do a pivot. And by the way, can you tell us how, you started in cyber? Did you wake up a morning and, hey, I want to go in cybersecurity, or what happened there?
Not a dream, not a thought. When I started off, cyber was not really a big thing, which is now it is like hot in the market. Everybody knows and talk about cybersecurity. At that time, literally 10, 12 years ago, cybersecurity was not a separate term. It used to be part of IT industry on the whole. We had been doing cybersecurity operations just to call out like when threats and everything exceeded many folds and exponentially in the last decade. Cybersecurity really came out as a separate industry in IT. I actually graduated. I completed my engineering in 2013, and at that point, some of the jobs that I were pursuing were more of like software testing roles or maybe developer role. And I really wanted to do something different in the industry, something different which can help me like start something on the engineering side, but something fresh, something which hasn't been done before. And at that point, cyber was growing. It was just coming out. That's when I thought, I actually completed a job. Like I kind of did a job for an year, and then I thought I want to pursue a master's degree. And when I went ahead on that journey, I came across this degree, which was information security management. And that was way back in India only. I kind of gave some competitive exams, got shortlisted for some universities, went ahead for admissions. And there I found one brochure mentioning like there is an information security management course. It brought me back to one of my courses in engineering, which was like working with cryptography. I used to love working with that. Some of my projects in engineering were based out of that. So that kind of brought me closer to cybersecurity. I was like, I want to know what is hacking, because that course it has like entailed everything around it, like hacking, web application security, network security, everything was around the course for the 2 years. And I was like, I want to do this. I'm really passionate about this. And for those 2 years, I think I was really immersed in the field. There was no time. Those 2 years, they flew very quickly. And by the time I realized, I had graduated and became a master's as well. So that's when the whole journey started. Like that's where the passion came out from.
That's super exciting. I mean, hearing where for you it started. And today, as you mentioned earlier, you're sharing that and helping the other to do the same. If we now pivot, what's your day-to-day? What are you doing every day around cyber specific?
My area of focus is vulnerability management, and I'm working on the Azure side of security in Microsoft. And we are more focusing on the internal services that we have in Azure, mostly on the forefront of security. We are working proactively and reactively to make sure we are better protected from threats. We are making sure that we are taking all the proactive measures. One of the major initiatives which Microsoft is running at the moment is Security First initiative. So we are taking those proactive measures to make sure we are well equipped, like because now AI is in place, threats are increasing. So we are making sure internally within the organization, we're totally well equipped. Internally, we are well protected, making sure all the gaps are covered. Proactively, we are securing our organization from any outside threats. So that's the goal.
Microsoft used to be at some point, not so known as a cybersecurity company. Now, I mean, it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest. Have you seen that shift from within Microsoft?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest goal within the company that we have for today is not just to like secure ourselves. Our customers are also our first goal. That's what our mission is. We want to help every person to grow across this planet, and same comes the security. So what we have done in these last couple of years is Microsoft has been a very big firm from decades. It's not just the first time. It's just the focus of threat actors is mostly on those orgs which are really big. People are using those products very explicitly and all the time. It's very common. Everybody knows about Windows. Everybody knows about Office and stuff. So one of our biggest goals in the last decade has been to be making security as our core priority. And that's what we are doing at this moment. We are making sure that not only the company is secure, our customers are secure, we are also making sure that we are contributing back to the cybersecurity industry. And that's where we can see the company growing many folds.
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. If you could, because we're seeing so much phishing attempts that are working. Obviously, these days, right? It's the most common way of threat actor getting in, right? Someone's clicking on something. Social engineering is making someone, deviated from his traditional what transaction they were going to do into something else. What advice could you offer to someone to be better in these days, specifically, right, with the Sora 2, with ChatGPT, with everything that helped the threat actor to be more efficient and even more sophisticated in his approach?
I think one of the biggest things that we need to do is to be a little patient and focused, because we are living in a world where we are watching reels which are running for 10 seconds. We don't really focus a lot. So when we see emails, we are not looking carefully at what it is saying. We are not carefully looking at, let's say, the email from which a particular email is originating from, the source. That source email ID, is it really obfuscated? Times I recently saw on Instagram, somebody posted, there was somebody who received an email, kind of show it came from Microsoft, but what the threat actor did was it combined I with N to make it look like M. So people couldn't see that carefully. People, like, they immediately see those email. I'm just giving a small example which I recently saw. So it's very important to be focused. I think a lot of things which come is because now we have AI in place. A lot of messages, email will now be more sophisticated, more professional, because AI is there to like kind of help and make things more polished. So it's always important to make sure, like, whatever information, messages, anything that we are receiving, is it coming from the right source? Is this something we are expecting? Many times those emails are coming from source, and those message content is like the body of the messages is mostly around something that we don't connect with, and it just comes out of nowhere. It's either they want to lure people out of greed or maybe out of curiosity. I think it's really, really important to like just give yourself some time, go through that information recurringly again and again. Make sure you ask someone or confirm from the right source before clicking anything or before responding to anything. That's what we need. It's very important to be more careful and focused. Yeah.
Correct. We're like skipping words. We're trying to go as fast as we can, trying to be efficient, where sometimes it's just worse because we're just like wasting much more time because of a breach than we would have if time we would have taken to read the email, right? So that is super interesting. Thank you for sharing this. It's super helping. You mentioned community, and I think you attended Black Hat recently. What's your opinion around that community that is growing and growing, right? I started 20 years ago in cyber, and B-sides near my home was like a 20 person. Now it's a 200 event, and all of the big events are becoming bigger and bigger. Last time I went RSA conference, I mean, it's overwhelming because there's so much people. So that community is growing. What do you think about that?
That's huge. Absolutely. Like when, like as you said, 20 years ago, when I started like going to these community events, volunteering events, at like literally 10 years ago, there were very less people. So with the growth of knowledge around cybersecurity, people getting into this field, we have seen like people from 20 now to like people in thousands and maybe lakhs and coming into picture into these conferences. And we are growing into a very strong community. And I think one of the important aspect of community and conferences, we get to meet people who are working in different parts of the world, who are working in different industry, different roles. We get to learn from them, important sessions, hands-on training, everything which goes on. It really helps us not only get equipped with what's happening in the industry, but most of the time it also helps us to what we can do more in our current role, what's happening new in the industry, how we can pick from, what kind of learnings we can pick from here and we can implement at work. That is becoming extremely important. And from these big conference perspective, one of the biggest things which I've started to see is more influx of women getting into these conferences and volunteering events. Women have found their voices in many, many ways. And as part of a women community that I'm running, we want to make sure like women found themselves or diversity found themselves like capable of like providing trainings, capable of like going to these places and present themselves as speaker, as volunteer. These events, they not only revolve around something professional, it also revolve around something which can provide you opportunity, help you with networking, grow a friend circle like outside your work or outside your personal life, where you have folks who are working in the same field with same ideas. You can talk hours and hours on that. So I think that's very important. And though we have seen the change, like in terms of like people increasing in visiting these conferences and participating in these conferences, but I personally feel like we have a long way to go. When I still visit these conferences, I still see diversity number very less, like less amount of women are still there. So our advocacy is specifically in these big conferences where diversity gets the opportunity. And I'm not saying we want a specialized position or something like that. It's more about making people aware about what opportunity is being like out there and what they are missing and how they can become part of it. They can make smaller to a larger impact. And that's what all that makes a difference.
I think that's a great initiative. You know what? I'd like to eventually see you in person at GoSec. We have our own event in Montreal. That would be nice
Oh,
to
wow.
hear you at GoSec. So I'll follow up with that. Maybe for 2026. So it was an absolute honor to host you. Thank you very much for sharing. And I wish you a good rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was my honor as well to be here today and have a word with you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Goodbye.